Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad to have you here again, because today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and fast-moving stories in the world of crypto, Kaspa. If you've been following this project for a while, you probably already know that it's captured the imagination of traders, long-term holders, and researchers alike. But if you're new, buckle up, because the developments happening in Kaspa land, as the community likes to call it, feel almost like the plot of a crypto fairy tale. Yet as unbelievable as some of this may sound, everything we're talking about is unfolding in real time. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. Always do your own research before investing in crypto. According to the community calendar, many holders are eyeing a potential sell-off once Kaspa pushes up into the 20-cent region or just above. That might sound logical, people taking profits at psychological resistance levels. But here's where things get amusing. Some voices in the space are suggesting not just holding for months or years, but holding for a full decade to truly unlock the so-called dream life. Honestly, that advice reads like something your crypto-obsessed relative might lean over and whisper at a family dinner. Just forget about it for 10 years, and you'll thank me later. Whether you find that laughable or inspirational, it does highlight a major divide in investor mentality. Do you chase short-term gains, or do you commit to the marathon? Now, shifting to something more technical, let's talk liquidity. Reports from Daily Caspa have highlighted some fascinating liquidity map formations. These maps show clusters of buying and selling orders forming almost like opposing armies preparing for battle. Specifically, significant liquidity has been spotted near 0.081 cents on the downside, while resistance seems to be forming around 0.091 cents on the upside. Imagine a chessboard where every piece is strategically placed, waiting for that single move that tips the balance. That's essentially what's happening here. These tight ranges suggest that Kaspa is preparing for a major move, though nobody can say for certain whether the breakout will be upwards or downwards. Watching liquidity is like observing an invisible tug of war, with invisible walls of buyers and sellers locking horns. And usually, when the range compresses this tightly, an explosive move follows sooner rather than later. But liquidity isn't the only drama catching attention. The whale trackers have been busy too. Recently, a massive transaction caught the eye of the community when Wallet Hash 8 scooped up 6.1 million CAS tokens directly from Kraken. Just picture this. Somewhere out there, perhaps in a lavish mansion, a crypto whale could be casually clicking buy while enjoying breakfast, moving millions of dollars in a single moment. Whether you see this as reckless gambling or informed conviction, whale accumulation often signals that big players have long-term confidence in the asset. Personally, I find whale watching half technical analysis, half tabloid gossip, but undeniably addictive. Are these whales privy to inside knowledge, or are they simply playing with house money? That's the million-dollar question, and one every trader has to wrestle with when deciding whether to follow or ignore these massive wallet moves. Meanwhile, the conversation is heating up around smart contracts. Joe Wong recently dropped what he described as breaking news. Kaspa's smart contract deployment sequence has officially been initiated. This doesn't mean contracts are live yet, but it does mean the process is underway with key parameters like cycles, nodes, blocks, and hash values already being tracked. Kaspa representatives even hinted at a September launch window during their discussions in Berlin. The problem? Nobody knows when exactly in September. It's a bit like ordering a pizza and being told it will arrive sometime this month. Not exactly precise, but at least confirmation it's on the way. Smart contracts, of course, are game changers for any blockchain ecosystem, unlocking DeFi, NFTs, and countless other use cases. But as with all things crypto, the timeline always feels like soon, but not too soon. While some are focused on tech rollouts, others are obsessing over price patterns. Lord Kuba, a popular technical analyst, has pointed out what they describe as a super bullish pattern, though volume remains lower than ideal. This is the eternal dilemma for traders. Charts may show clean formations, but without strong volume confirmation, the signal can remain questionable. Will Kaspa break through resistance or face rejection once again? Every day in crypto feels like a new roll of the dice in this endless game between optimism and reality. Technical analysis, at its best, offers probabilities, but never guarantees. I always like to remind people that reading charts is a bit like reading tea leaves while riding a roller coaster. Sometimes the predictions hit spot on. Other times the market laughs in your face. Speaking of predictions, one anonymous source has recently suggested that Caspa could push toward 51 cents to 84 cents, with the broader altcoin market topping between November 2025 and January 2026. They even float the possibility of Caspa hitting $4 to $5 in the longer term, though not within this current cycle. Their math? At $5 per token, Caspa would have a market cap north of $120 billion, a tall order in today's competitive landscape filled with dozens of rival Layer 1s. At least this analyst adds the responsible disclaimer not to make financial decisions purely off speculation. Personally, I find these moonshot predictions both entertaining and unrealistic in equal measure. But who knows? Crypto has a history of making the impossible happen. The bigger question is whether Caspa can truly carve out its niche against established giants. On the research front, the developments are just as intriguing. A recent paper has introduced something called Lighthash, an optical proof-of-work protocol that blends the efficiency of linear optics with Bitcoin-level security. Caspa, of course, already uses its own hashing method known as Checha, a modification of heavy hash. Analysts speculate this could potentially align with Lighthash updates, which might give Caspa a future advantage in scaling toward eye-popping performance goals like 60,000 transactions per second. But let's be honest, when predictions stretch toward valuations of $10 trillion, I can't help but chuckle. The technology may be groundbreaking, but price forecasts at extreme often sound like darts thrown at a giant board of numbers. That said, innovation is the backbone of crypto, and Caspa's alignment with new approaches could strengthen its future competitiveness. Another heated debate within the community is about exchange listings. Some traders argue that Caspa remains risky because its daily trading volume hovers around $50 million, but others, like Crypto Boy, push back with strong counterpoints. Caspa currently ranks within the top 50 cryptocurrencies, has previously cracked the top 30, and has achieved all this without support from the major exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, or OKX. Add to that its fair launch, lack of VC funding, and commitment to decentralization, and you get a project that has climbed through sheer community support. This raises an interesting philosophical question. Do major exchange listings actually make or break a project, or can grassroots support carry it just as far? Caspa's trajectory so far suggests that institutional blessing is not always necessary for growth. Kaspa Boy, another thoughtful commentator, takes things further by analyzing Caspa's unique emission curve. Unlike Bitcoin, which undergoes abrupt halvings every 4 years, Caspa employs a continuously declining emission schedule. This smoother reduction in supply avoids the sharp shocks that often trigger intense sell-offs in Bitcoin. As a result, Caspa may experience more stable price action over time. Scarcity still exists, but in a gradual and predictable way, reducing the likelihood of sudden panic or hype-driven crashes. Even during past bear markets, Caspa showed resilience by bouncing back repeatedly to its production cost levels. This independent behavior could signal the project's ability to establish its own rhythm outside of Bitcoin's influence. For long-term holders, this emission design offers psychological comfort, reducing the temptation to panic sell during corrections. From an ecosystem perspective, the next 1 to 2 years look especially crucial. Analysts like Scape Squad believe Caspa must focus on delivering infrastructure to support mass adoption of DeFi applications. If Caspa succeeds in generating enough transaction activity to sustain miner rewards, it could solve a looming challenge that even Bitcoin faces: the security budget problem. As Bitcoin's block rewards shrink, miners increasingly rely on transaction fees, which may not always be sufficient. Caspa's model, if executed well, could demonstrate how a proof-of-work system remains secure and sustainable in the long run. This, in my opinion, could become one of Caspa's strongest selling points compared to other chains. Of course, we can't forget the bigger picture. Macro conditions play a huge role in shaping crypto markets. Reports suggest the Federal Reserve may accelerate interest rate cuts, which could give both Bitcoin and altcoins fresh momentum. Bitcoin itself continues to trade within a strong bullish channel, with investors watching closely for potential new highs. Meanwhile, Ethereum has shown some weakness, recently slipping below $4,500. Though large-scale accumulation from big players suggests confidence in its eventual rebound. These broader market moves inevitably ripple into smaller projects like Caspa, influencing sentiment and price action. So where does that leave Caspa today? After sifting through all the news, analysis, and speculation, I see a project that is generating genuine enthusiasm while still facing significant challenges. The upcoming smart contracts could open entirely new horizons if delivered successfully. The whale activity and steady accumulation reflect confidence among big holders. The unique emission curve might provide Caspa with more stability compared to Bitcoin's volatile cycles. Yet, competition in the Layer 1 space is fierce, and Caspa still lacks listings on major exchanges. Price predictions stretch from cautious optimism to wild fantasies, and the gap between tech potential and market reality remains wide. In summary, Caspa stands out as a proof-of-work project with fresh ideas, loyal community support, and intriguing technical potential. But as always in crypto, the path forward is uncertain. For investors, the decision comes down to weighing the technological merits and long-term vision against the risks of fierce competition and unpredictable market conditions. One thing is certain, Caspa has earned its place in the conversation, and its journey from here will be one to watch closely. Thanks for watching. Like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe if you want more real-time updates, moves, market trends, and hidden gems.